Hi guys, and welcome to another beer log. Now, if you're a big fan of the craft beer channel and are indeed subscribed to Mr. Hyde, you will have seen the misadventures of Brad and Andrew and Jonny recently. In that video and on that newsletter, we did a crawl finding the best pale ales of East London, and now, using 3 of the amazing places in our amazing book, we are going to... Nice point.
It's not my amazing book, but I'm going to bask in your glory there.
We are going to 5 amazing pubs serving the best stouts and porters in East London. So buckle up, it's all about to get a bit dark and blurry.
Yes. Okay, stouts and porters? What's the difference, Jonny?
So seamless. So, what we're drinking here is Railway Porter by 5 Points, and we're at Mason & Co, which is their brewery tap. Now, a porter is kind of fruity. It's got, I don't know, maybe some plum or some raisin notes, but also lots of charcoaly, burnt toasty kind of stuff going on. Now, a stout today is seen as like a drier, roastier, more coffee, charcoaly version of that. But to get to the etymology of that, we have to go a long way back to like the 17th century, when in London you'd go into a pub and you'd basically order a brown beer. And there'd be 2 ways of ordering it. One was called a mild and one was called a stale. Both sexy beer names. But they would, one would be like fresh out of the brewery, and the other one would be aged probably by the pub. So that it's matured and rounded and taken on some unusual flavours. Mm-hmm. So people used to either order those 2 or they'd order a blend of those 2. Now the breweries realised they were missing out on a bit of profit here because they were just selling beer, and stale, the pubs were raking in the profit by charging more for it. So they said, right, well, we'll age one in our own brewery and we'll make lots of little tweaks, hop it more because that was getting trendy because of Burton Pale Ales, which turned into the IPA. So they made their own aged version, and they started calling that a porter because most of the working class people wanted quality but didn't have the money to maybe trade up all the way to a stale. So it's a nice balance for them, and they named it after the street porters who mostly drank it.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
And probably died at the age of 22.
Yeah, sadly. But I mean, beer, this kind of beer is fortifying and nourishing, so that probably gave them an extra year, 6 months, another day.
Bless them.
Yeah.
Bless them and their memories.
Yeah.
So we are going on a stout/porter odyssey, starting here at Mason & Co with this Railway Porter
And
by
moving
5
on out
Points.
to the stout porters, the bigger stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Our next stop is the People's Park Tavern, where we are going to drink a black IPA. What?
Well, basically that's an India porter.
Oh.
There's a lot of debate about what a black IPA is, because calling it a black India pale ale, that makes no sense, right?
It's oxymoronic.
Yeah, it is. So I prefer to call them India porters.
Okay.
So they're fruity, but they're hopped like an IPA. I think that's a better term. You could also call them a Cascadian dark ale. You could call them an India stout if they're roasty and dark and strong. There's many different words for talking about a very hoppy dark beer, but I think the India porter encapsulates it best.
The Cascadians are in Star Trek, right?
Well, Cascadian's technically named after the mountains where a lot of the hops were grown, but also it might be in Star Trek.
Okay. And then we're off to Palm Tree, which
I'm drinking a macro beer.
You claim it has the best pint of Guinness in London.
I think it does. I haven't been to all the pubs in London. I've had a good go, but it's the best Guinness I've had.
I know this is the craft beer channel, but Guinness gets a pass, right?
Guinness kind of gets a pass, although less so. There's lots of new, exciting breweries making sort of nitro stouts, dry Irish style stouts now. But for a while, it was a bit of a saviour in many pubs because you walk in, there'd be, Foster's, Carling, all this nonsense on there, or in America, like just Bud or Bud Light. And so you'd walk around, you go, well, I don't want a Green King IPA, and then you'd see the Guinness tap, and you'd be like, something with flavour.
The friendly Irishman at the end of the bar.
Drunk Irishman at the end of the bar.
Okay, but what makes a good Guinness? Because you hear this, it's a good pint of Guinness, it's a bad pint of Guinness. How does that happen?
Well, so beer is a foodstuff, and I think people forget that because it doesn't, you don't chop it or whatever. It comes out of a tap and it's served to you. So we need to think of it as having a best before. So the best beer is usually fresh out the brewery. If they're releasing it right, they're looking after it right, straight out the brewery is at its best. And the further you go from the brewery, the worse it's going to get. So the best Guinness, in theory, should be in Dublin, and it probably is. So when it comes to export, you have these pockets, like these pubs that serve the best Guinness in certain location. And that's either a lie or it's down to a couple of small variables. The first one is context. If you're in an Irish themed bar, the Guinness might taste a little bit better. The second one is throughput. So that's how quickly they're selling their Guinness. So if you've got a fast-moving line, none of it sat in the pipe getting oxidised and stale and horrible, and the Guinness will be fresher because each time they bring a keg in, sells quickly, next one, sells
And more
quickly,
people will
next
drink
one.
it, and it's like a catch-22 kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
it's unfortunate that if you drink less of it in a pub, the quality will decline.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for a pub that might serve good Guinness or any good nitro stout or any good beer in general, look at throughput. If it's a busy pub, the likelihood of the beer they're serving being fresher and better is much higher.
Yeah. Or it's a lie.
Or it's a lie and it's
Going
just
back,
somebody
yeah.
puts it on a blackboard and goes, let's hope this works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously, there are other stouts and other porters and other dark beers, and we're going to try more of those, and then we're going to move on to Mother Kelly's,
Mother Kelly's.
where we are going to drink, in your notes, something big and imperial.
Yeah, so the Imperial Stout, that comes from the fact that Russian oligarchs used to love British beer and we used to ship it out to them. But, you know, being Russia, it would often freeze. So we had to brew a stronger version, which had more alcohol, and alcohol has a lower freezing point. So it survived the journey. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it. It's a bit like IPA, it's covered in myth. But yeah, so we used to brew it to 7, 8, 9%. Not as strong as the big Imperial Stouts we'll probably drink later.
There you
But
go.
yes, they were there to not freeze and to be big and boozy, and they're almost like a really rich Rioja, like a big, boozy, all-encompassing kind of drink.
Yeah. Spasiba for that. And then finally, we are going to the King's Arms, where we are going to drink. It's a rhyming opportunity.
Drink Camden Ink. Sorry, I was drinking, which was also kind of a pun. You said never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
So yeah, Camden Ink. Sadly, they're not independent anymore, but Camden do make a really lovely nitro stout, and it's proof that smaller guys like White Hag make a great one. And you mentioned someone.
Whitewater Brewery in
Whitewater
Northern Ireland,
Brewery in
yeah,
Northern
Belfast. They
making
do
a
a
good
Belfast Black.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
So there are guys coming through making beautiful stuff. So we're going to try that and see what the differences are. I think the difference will be that we'd had an Imperial Stout beforehand and can't really taste anything anymore. But it's important to recognise, you know, Guinness's days, they're not so much numbered, but there's pressure on those taps now. And there's some really great, particularly Irish, dry stouts coming out as people go, you know, I love Guinness, but let's give a small guy a go. And that's good for the market.
Competition is good.
Yeah.
And obviously 3 of those pubs, as mentioned.
Or in the London Craft Beer Guide.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let
So
us go and join the dark side.
you didn't do the glass thing.
Join,
It's Jonny.
Join the dark side.
That's better actually when there's more beer in it.
Join the dark side, Johnny.
So guys, we have lots of cool stout-related content coming up for Paddy's Day. I went to the west coast of Ireland. There was nothing but stout, oysters and the Atlantic between me and America for a couple of hours, and we did a video there. So please do tune in early March when that comes out. Please buy the book, and if you're not signed up to Mr. Hyde, then there'll be a link in the descriptions box below. I hope you enjoyed the crazy antics of that were flashed up over this video. We thought it was easier to get all the talky bits in while sober.
Cheers.
Cheers. Slanty.
Slán-